music and rhythm games have been a source of making music not just enhance the gaming experience, but creating the experience as well. Artists like Journey, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Xyes, Michael Jackson, Aerosmith, and X-Japan lent their music catalog to help introduce and innovate the music and rhythm game genre. In games like Loom, the Parappa the Rapper franchise, and many of the Legend of Zelda titles helped make music an integral part of the game's aesthetic, the game's story, or both. Parappa the Rapper was the first to take the rhythm game mechanic and develop a story with it, while Konami's Beat Mania and Dance Dance Revolution series helped make the rhythm game genre as a whole even more popular around the world. As the rhythm game genre was increasing in popularity, so were the possibilities of how rhythm games could be presented. And as games like Parappa the Rapper and Space Channel 5 were becoming more well known, so was the idea that music being central to the story in games could be pulled off flawlessly. One game would combine the innovations of the gameplay behind the rhythm game genre with original music-based storytelling, and that game would be Gitaroo Man. It all began with Keiichi Yano, one of the founders of Innis, aka Infinite Noise of the Inner Soul. Innis would be led by musicians turned game developers, with Yano learning how to play the piano and saxophone as a child. As former musicians, Innis believed they understood how music should be visualized and interacted with through games. Before developing their own video game, however, they worked on educational interactive software for computers under the label RajaNaga, including but not limited to an interactive primer of the space battleship Yamato series, and an example of foreshadowing the future of Innis, a music showcase featuring former idol Chisato Moritaka. All that commission work would lead to Yano's first traditional video game, Gitaroo Man. Traditionally, rhythm games followed one formula, which commonly had the player hit the correct buttons at the right time. In this game, there are offensive and defensive ways to progress through each stage. Offensively combined perfectly timed button pushing with accurate analog stick movement along a track line. Defensively was where the player defended against enemy attacks with just perfectly timed button pushing. Before Gitaroo Man, there were only 2 rhythm games centered around duels between 2 musically inclined characters, the Busta Groove games and parts of Space Channel 5. With Gitaroo Man, you were given story, rhythm-based duels, and of course, the music. The music for Gitaroo Man would consist of an eclectic list of genres. Among the subgenres of rock, like hard rock, punk, pop, and acoustic, there would be electronic, funk, reggae, and house. A lot of musicians, mostly in-house from Innis or the game's publisher Koei, contributed to the soundtrack of the game. Leading this music team would be Tomohiro Harada. Gitaroo Man would be one of Harada's first video games, with his only other video game he composed being the 2020 Giraffe and Anika. Much of his music career was focused on music sample designs, which includes being the first to develop sound samples of taiko drums. He would also have experience in environmental audio design through companies he started like Sonica and Sora Soledo. In Gitaroo Man, Harada would perform with musician A. Lee under the group name VGA. The other group who would lead the development of the soundtrack would be Coil, consisting of musicians Sadayoshi Okamoto and Yosuke Sato. Coil, along with Masako Harada, wrote many of the game's songs. Other than Harada, who would continue to work with Innis on future titles, the only other musician among that list to continue working for games, a bit briefly, would be Sato, who would contribute music to Capcom releases like Resident Evil 0, Lost Planet 2, and Dead Rising 2. Caleb James, who contributed to the tracks Twisted Reality and B-Jam Blues, where he also voiced the track's performer in the game Mojo King B in both English and Japanese, also contributed to the original Busta Groove as backing vocals for multiple songs and as the lead vocalist for Hero's song Natural Playboy. The lead artist for Gitaroo Man would be Mitsuru Nakamura, known famously as 326. Yano recruited 326, citing Japan's pursuit of the next big thing in entertainment and culture. He saw 326 as someone whose art represented what was current in Japan at the time. 326 took ideas gathered in developer meetings, preferring to hear what they had requested from him for the game. Gitaroo Man would be the only game he worked on, but had cited the job as the hardest job he ever took. But despite the difficulty he still had lots of fun taking the ideas the rest of the development team had and seeing his traditionally 2D art style get converted into full 3D animation. It wouldn't be the first time his art was animated, as he designed commercials for Japan's Tokyo Broadcasting System. Nor would Gitaroo Man be the last time his works would be animated, as much later in his career, he would lend his artistic talents to the 2018 web anime .bit retro Boku Dake no Kuso Gee. But seeing his work in a 3D game made him ecstatic. He described bringing his art to 3D as challenging, and would ask himself what could easily be manipulated and moved around. UPlayNetwork leads the eclectic cast of Gitaroo Man. As a young boy who yearns for the love of his crush Pico, he always found himself on the opposite end of rival and bully Kazuya. But one day, UPlayNetwork and his dog Puma are attacked by unknown forces. To defend themselves, Puma arms UPlayNetwork with a powerful guitar, enabling him to become the titular character, Gitaroo Man. The story from there draws parallels to UPlayNetwork's average boyhood life, and Gitaroo Man's quest to defeat these unknown forces, eventually revealed to be led by Prince Zoe. It would become a story on how Gitaroo Man's trials and tribulations would set the stage for UPlayNetwork's confidence to grow over the course of the game, leading up to the finale. Before the full game was released, Innes released a demo of the game in April 2001 called Gitaroo Man 1. The demo of the game included a preview of the game's second stage, an exclusive minigame featuring Puma, a teaser trailer, and Gitaroo Man Janken cards. This release was exclusive to Japan. 2 months later, the full game would be released. As successful as Gitaroo Man was internationally, limited prints of the game made it harder to find the more rave reviews it got. The game was re-released for the PlayStation Portable in 2006 in all territories as Gitaroo Man Lives. This version of the game offered new multiplayer modes, new difficulty settings, exclusive stage, and the song Flying to Your Heart is performed in English. This version of Flying to Your Heart had previously been heard in a European demo of the PlayStation 2 release, and is performed by A. Lee, who also performed the song in Japanese. Innes' next rhythm game would be the 2005 Os Tatake Ouendan for the Nintendo DS, released exclusively in Japan. The use of popular cover songs and the way the touchscreen was used made the game so appealing to international markets that Nintendo and Yano collaborated on an international version of the game that retained the gameplay mechanics, but replaced the aesthetic of male cheerleaders and covers of Japanese songs with covers of popular English songs and a government agency with the power to cheer people on. This version would be called Elite Beat Agents, and would be released in North America in 2006 and European territories in 2007. Meanwhile, in Japan in 2007, a sequel to Os Tatake Ouendan was released, implementing the improvements Elite Beat Agents made on the original game. These games would be so popular, it would inspire the fan game Os, which allowed users to generate their own Ouendan-style tracks to custom music.
You know, the whole notion, and this is like a very regular thing now, but the whole notion of a community coming to create and build content, and then everybody like kind of sharing around it. It's a great thing, right?
Next, Innes would work on a new music franchise exclusively for the Xbox 360, Lips. The Lips games would be karaoke games similar to other karaoke games like SingStar and Karaoke Revolution, where a microphone developed for consoles would be used to sing popular songs of the time. Yano also worked on the interface for Xbox 360 voice chat in Japan. The Lips games would be the last games Yano would be given game designer credits for. Innes would continue to focus primarily on music games featuring real-life songs and real musicians, until it faced multiple rebrands, leading up to the current rebranded name as of 2020, Leona Interactive. In 2017, Yano had partnered with Parappa the Rapper creator Masaya Matsuura to create a new original music game called Project Rap Rabbit, which would have been crowdfunded on Kickstarter. Unfortunately, the Kickstarter campaign failed, suspending any progress of the game's development as of this production. Gitaroo Man was a unique, one-of-a-kind rhythm game that blended storytelling with rhythm music gameplay. Its unexpected success outside of Japan led to a newfound appreciation for Japanese games that could be appreciated as is without the game being too localized for international markets. Keiichi Yano's mind and passion for music helped give Japan a game development company that specialized in music games, crossing over from original rhythm games to karaoke and dance experiences that could be shared in living rooms instead of arcades and bars. And in between all that would be the Ouendan games for the Nintendo DS, which helped give handheld gaming its biggest representation of the rhythm and music genre at the time. Experimental, eclectic, innovative, and progressive. All that Gitaroo Man personified in the name of the music and rhythm game genre.
Turning and turning in the widening Gaia, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming. Bye-bye, maggot.
I'm being engaged by the enemy. Pete, we are under attack.
Kinsey on bay 3. Awaiting orders.
Under attack. I'm now engaging the hostile. Taking hostile fire. Aircraft in place with them. Yes. 'em. 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 '
hero's back in a new adventure. He has new friends with special abilities. He has new enemies with funky attacks. But will he save the princess?
Help!
Find out in Paper Mario.
Rated E for everyone.
dare to venture into my private chambers.
Sir, are a fraud. Yes! I am Dr. Sigmund Ford.
Eddie Ember? Eddie got me into the Union. I'd give him a lung if he needed it.
Wait till the guys back at the mound hear about this.
Relax! Relax!
Jack,
What?
do you know what day it is tomorrow?
April 30th. Is there something special about it?
Isn't there?
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Oh well, I'll keep trying till I hear the answer. I'm gonna let you go now, Jack. Take care.